I remember when I lost everything. A lot of my friends, my neighbors, I lost my house, my job. I lost everything that I own in Syria. And I lost my country. This camp has existed due to war in Syria, but it still is a symbol of climate change. You know, if you look all over the world, there is millions of the refugees, and those just because of flood, drought, poor weather condition, soil erosion, and different other factors. If this continue to happen, then we have to expect more refugees in the future, more disaster, more extreme weather, more shortage of food, and more casualties. We should not say it's happening. We can stop it.
It terrifies me when I think about the scale of the challenge. I believe that it's on us to fix it. We think that all of the soil that is sustaining all life on Earth sits in a 25 by 25 by 25 kilometre cube. When you think about it in those dimensions, it doesn't feel like a lot that is essentially keeping every living thing on this planet alive.
If we don't solve the food problem, there will be starvation. And starvation means riots. And riots mean governments falling, and civil war, and all of the atrocities that that brings. It's really easy to go, why? Why? If everyone put their head in their hands, then we are stuffed, right?
The reason I'm so excited about the work that we're doing is we've come up with this idea collectively that could really change people's lives. Our idea is growing food in discarded material like old mattresses in a refugee camp in a desert at the edge of the Syrian border. Whenever I mention it to people, their response is, "What?" It is a pretty staggering idea. We're using stuff that you can get off the shelf or you can find in the rubbish dump of a refugee camp that could really be scalable.
Hydroponics is a Greek word. Hydro, water, ponos, work. You make the water do the work. This is the future of high-value crops, using less water, less land.
It's replacing soil with an inert substance like a mattress to hold your plants up. It's supplying that material with water filled with the mineral nutrients that plants need to grow. And the final ingredient is sunshine.
Some Jordanian colleagues who are expert in hydroponics said, forget about hydroponics in the camp. It won't work. With no electricity, with very hot climates, it won't work. We need to prove it on the ground. We need to prove it within dietary conditions.
Most people wouldn't think that this is possible, let alone meaningful in terms of the amount of food that you could produce. But if we can make this work, the benefits are game-changing.
So what's going on then?
Due to COVID spreading very quickly in Jordan, getting the material to the camp is very hard these days. We don't know how long it will last. Another issue is the frost. I have spoken with the people in the camp, and they said since they came to the camp, they never experienced such low temperature. It reached -4.
-4?
Yeah.
I mean, things are clearly dying.
They're buggered. If the hydroponic systems freeze, then they really do have the capacity to almost self-destruct. We often think about the losses associated with something awful happening. Discovering you have cerebellar ataxia, for example. We are good to go. I went from an extreme sports enthusiast to being in a wheelchair. But it genuinely was a motivation to push myself and to push my science. And there's still a lot more in my failing brain.
Essentially the same as what we're doing in Vatry. And we can use one of these small hydroponic systems. And then in the other chambers, we could drop the temperature down to -5, -10, and then we can start to have a play at what the solutions might be.
Yeah, and we can use the same Zackery foam mattress to mimic the reality on the ground. Yeah.
Shall we go and have a look at the other chamber?
Yeah, please.
If we don't tend them, if we don't nurture and look after them, they will fail.
Mohammed, is it always clear at night when there's frost, like here?
Yeah, it's clear.
So no cloud?
No cloud.
Okay, so all the heat loss is infrared. You would actually be able to reproduce the heat transfer there in here, and then we've got some bits of tent, anything so that the infrared just bounces straight back to the plant.
It's not just about helping refugees get access to fresh fruit and vegetables. It's about democratizing healthy food. In a nutshell, we really are trying to change the global food system, but the real moment of jeopardy was that moment where we first put a germinating seed into a block of mattress, and we all crossed our fingers.
For the first few months, we didn't succeed in growing anything. But we didn't give up because we believed it will work. And yes, we make it work.
Seeing other people look for a future really helped me to look at my future. My own personal catastrophe was very difficult to face down. You can't help but mourn the loss of that person that you were. Life has to move on, and I didn't want that diagnosis to be the end. And thus far I've managed to not let it.
We every day remember something about Syria. We cannot forget it. We have to move. We have to keep going on. Done well, then everything fine.
Cool. Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah, there we go.
We still have to feed 9 billion people, so we've got to keep going.
If they can do it in the camp, if the refugees who live in very hard and very extreme bad condition, they have this hope, then we should have that hope also.